So, Halloween may seem like fun costumes and sweets, but it actually has a history linked to ancient beliefs about spirits, darkness and superstition. And today, while it's become a global trend that many people take part in, Muslims that are younger wonder, should we join in or not? So, in the studio joining us today we have Murabi Sahib. Jazakallah for being here with us today. The first question I think we should get into is, how do young Muslims like ourselves respond confidently when one of our friends asks us, oh, why don't you celebrate Halloween?
So that's a really good question. A lot of the times when we're at school or college, our peers, our friends, they ask us, why don't you celebrate Christmas? Why don't you celebrate Halloween? Now, of course, today we're speaking about Halloween. We have to realize it's a very valid question that they're asking us. They genuinely want to know why we don't partake in the same things that they're doing, right? And in order to respond confidently, I think the main thing is we need to know ourselves why we don't celebrate it, right? Because if we don't know ourselves, then how are we going to give a confident answer, and how will they be satisfied by the answer? So Hazur always tells us this as well, that we shouldn't have an inferiority complex. And in order to respond confidently, we need to know why ourselves. For that, we need to know about the history behind it. So of course, as you guys have heard in the video that you've just watched, the roots of Halloween are in a pagan festival. So it was a Celtic festival over 2,000 years ago. 31st of October was the last day of the harvest and the start of the new year, where they believed that the dead and the evil spirits would come back into this earth. Now, we know as Muslims that life and death is in the hands of God. And if the roots are in polytheism and shirk, and Islam teaches about one God in tawheed and monotheism, then it's completely opposite to what we believe in. So as Muslims, we have our own values and we should stand firm on them.
And I mean, this is probably perfect to go off. Talking about these values, in the media and news, we hear a lot about these British values.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen what's been happening. But because we say we don't take part in what they take part in, do you think there's some sort of clash, or saying that we don't take part in what you take part in, does that create a divide?
Not at all. I think if we understand the difference between two key terms, so there's integration and there's assimilation. Now, assimilation means becoming exactly like them, which is totally different to integration. Integration means that you partake in society and you contribute in a positive way to society. When Hazur talks about this, he tells us that we need to integrate, not assimilate. If we want to integrate into society, we need to contribute in a very good way. For example, the way that we do in our community, we go out, we do homeless feeding, we clean up the streets on New Year's Day, we have blood drives, we have charity challenges, all of these sorts of things. These are all ways of adding to the value of the country and integrating. So Hazur tells us we need to integrate and not assimilate. So we can very much be part of the society without taking on the vices that these people do. For example, like celebrating Halloween, or going to pubs, or celebrating Christmas, or anything which is un-Islamic.
And some people, along the same topic again, they say that it's harmless to do what they do.
Yeah.
Is there any harms of joining in to these
So I think that's also a very good question, because with anything, Islam, the teaching that Islam teaches is that it cuts sins from the very root, okay? So like we talked about, the roots of Halloween, they're in paganism and polytheism, okay? If we go close to it even a bit, it's the same as this. Now, if I was to say that it's only one fizzy drink, it's fine. Then I have two, then I have three, and then you end up getting addicted to something, right? So that's an example of a fizzy drink, but it can get much, much worse into things like drugs and addictions and so many different things. So the way that Islam teaches is you completely cut that sin from the root. So while it might seem harmless, like trick-or-treating, the reality is that even the people that are doing that, even they might not know the history behind it. And once you know the history behind it and how it clashes against Islam, that's why Islam teaches you don't even go near that thing.
And lastly, for maybe the older audience, how can parents or teachers really support the children that don't take part in these activities?
So I think, just again tying back to the first question, I think we need to really empower and educate our youth. So all the parents out there, the elders out there, our responsibility is that we need to learn about these things ourselves, the history behind them, so that we can tell our youngsters, and so that we can empower them to make them realize that, you know, we're not some odd creatures that don't believe in the same things that they believe in. Rather, we have our reasons, very valid reasons, for not believing in the same things or following the same things. And once we have that education, once we have that knowledge and that power, like I said, knowledge is power, right? So once you have that, then you can very confidently live in society and not have to worry about, you know, what people are going to say if I don't celebrate Halloween.
Jazakallah for those thoughtful answers. It's clear that while Halloween is popular, Islam teaches us to think carefully about what we take part in, and that choosing something different doesn't always mean we can't be kind, confident, and a part of society.